So first off, with this 3-point hitch system, it comes with an 80-gallon tank. The tank is kind of small. I'm not a big fan of the size, but you do have to think about the weight you have carrying on top of this. That's one kind of downfall I see with the 3-point hitch system is this smaller tank, but as long as you have water on site, you can easily refill and fill. It works out pretty well. So this comes down to a nice heavy-duty frame. These are spec'd out for either more no-till or heavier duty or more units. It's a strong frame. It's not going to break. It's not going to crack on you unless you're really ramming it for some random reason. Comes standard with these gauge wheels, which are really nice. You can adjust them to different heights up and down just with the quick change of this gear right here, which is really nice. And those really help keeping the units, all 3 of them now, on one plane surface, level to level from each side. That's awesome here. Next we have your main spring tensioner for the unit itself. You can raise and lower this for means of more or less tension kind of pressing down into the soil as the unit goes through. That's a great adjustment right there. We're dealing with a lot of nice fluffy soil around here, so this can be put a little lighter or right in the middle, and we don't have a lot of problems at all with it, so that's great. These are easily unbolted with 4 U-bolts, bolted and unbolted here to slide back and forth. Like I said, these are set up on an 18-inch center right now, which is kind of the closest you can get them. But you can come all the way out to about here without any issues if you would like. So that's great right there. We got a nice standard plastic seat to keep your bum nice and comfy while we're transplanting. This has a, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cup. So this is a 10 cup Carousel transplanter. It's really nice. It moves at a speed that's easy to manage. The less cups, the faster this is going to spin. So having these 10 cup rotation really makes it feasible to go at a pretty decent working speed and get plants in the ground probably anywhere lower than 8 to 12 inches is where you're going to start running into this spinning faster than someone can really keep up with. That's great as well. Over in the back here, talking about the Carousel, this transplanter actually has some really nice features that come with the Carousel themselves. One are these cups that make a smaller hole. And how these work is you stick them in here and they make a smaller hole. So if you're dealing with smaller celled stuff like 128s that we deal with a lot, or a smaller plant, this will help keep the plant straight up in the ground, straight up in the cup as it comes around and spins, which makes it really nice to keep your plants up straight. The other thing this comes with is cup extenders. So if you're dealing with a really tall plant, say a leggier plant or taller, tomato or something maybe that gets quite taller quickly, these are really great and actually essential when you're planting those taller plants to help keep that plant, again, upright so it can drop straight once it goes into the ground. If you're dealing with a plant flopping, it's not going to fall as quickly and efficiently as needed, and you're going to deal with a lot of issues of plants getting buried or not planting properly in your field. So, and these are really easy. They just pop right in and out like this. These are a nice hard plastic as well. One feature I decided to put on these are just some of these lock clamps, because we're constantly going in and out of this. So having these on here, we'll fix that later. Having those on there really makes it easier to go back and forth. They have these kind of butterfly clamps that they put on here. I don't really like them. They're a pain to take on and off, and they're not really needed. So that's one adjustment I did. Coming back, talking more about kind of the carousel part of things. I decided on this unit to get independent rotary tray holders. So these are for soft trays only. So like your soft plastic 128, 72s, whatever you're using. They slide right into this on the top, keeping 1 or 2 cells upright, and it kind of locks in and they'll hang right here. This is very nice because these spin really easily. You can fit 4 trays out of whack, and depending on what you're planting, you can get down a good 200 to 300 foot bed without having to change. So that's very nice there. Very easy to bolt up, just a simple bolt right here. And then this pivots here. You can adjust the height of this from, your bottom to your top, just with some simple set screws right here and here. And you can raise and lower this depending on the size of your tray. I know a lot of 128 standards are pretty much the same size across the board, but in case you're dealing with a different style tray or type of tray or brand of tray, that option is very feasible there, which is great. Coming down to, let's talk about the closing wheels quickly. These are awesome because you can adjust these actually. You can see right here, just by pulling this cotter pin right here, you can bring both closing wheels, the left and right, in and out depending on the size of the cell that you're planting. This is really great when you're dealing with bigger or smaller cells because they're going to need a little more space to press, and also depending on how big your plant is coming down this furrow. This is what we're dealing with here. This space right here where it's going to press next to the plant. So if you have a bigger plant, you're going to want this a little wider. If you're dealing with a smaller plant, you're going to want this a little closer to get that compaction right next to the plant. That's very nice as well. Let's see. Right up here, this is your depth control. They put these little locks on them, which are nice. It's supposed to push down, but I can't. So this has a setting from 0 to 14 inches. And the lower you spin this, the shallower you're gonna plant. So right now I'm kind of spinning upward to give me a higher depth. So that means the plant's gonna sit lower in the ground versus if I was down to like a 4 right here, that would raise the plant up out of the ground. So what that's doing is it's taking these closing wheels and it's rising them or lowering them depending on your plant depths and how tall your plant is, how much stem your plant has. And that's really important because this will either not put your plant in the ground so the cell is covering, or it'll plant it too deep where it's going to bury it. So this is something that gets adjusted within rows, within cell trays, switching out between different plants, obviously, different types of plants. So that's very versatile. This is very easy to use, the up and down. I will say if you are adjusting it on the ground, you can adjust it upward if you want to lessen the depth. But if you're lowering the depth, you want to raise your unit off the ground like so you can lower these down. That's kind of key thing, simple thing, makes sense to pay attention to. Keeping these locks in like this is really helpful because this stuff will move as it's in the ground, and these help kind of keep things in place so you're not constantly adjusting. The next adjustment I want to talk to in the rear here is this is another adjustment for your closing wheels as well. And what this does is it brings these closing wheels inward or outward. And what this is doing here is it's basically having a place for where it's going to press the plant into the ground. Smaller plants require the plants to get pressed in the ground sooner before they drop versus a little farther back. So sending these in a little bit more when you're dealing with a smaller plant is really beneficial. So as I was saying, if you twist this, you can actually see this unit moving backwards very slightly. And so, like I said, what that's doing is bringing these closing wheels backwards or forwards. And this is really important to read the owner's manual because it really explains the different settings of these and why you do them and why they're going to work for different cell trays or different soil types. We noticed with like leeks, for instance, these closing wheels had to be really far up compared to like the regular brassicas we're planting, which this kind of sits maybe towards right down here is a perfect example. So the leeks somewhere probably around 2 1/4 to 3 is probably where we're sitting with our leeks. The standard, they want you sitting anywhere from, I believe it's about an inch and 3/4 to closer to 2 inches. But way farther back, you're probably dealing with a really larger cell. I don't have a lot of experience with that, but it's very necessary to really look and adapt your machines to what you need your settings at, because that's going to be important and give you a lot less headaches down the road. So again, put these locks down. It even shows you plus or minus forward or backwards, which is really phenomenal. So as these units spin, the plants drop down these metal chutes right here, and I gave a quick video of what the kickers look like. But if we look down in here, which is kind of difficult to see, but you're gonna see that metal kicker down there, which is gonna push the plant out as the unit rotates, and then this plastic piece right here is gonna help keep the plant upright as it drops in the ground. So that's what's digging your trench right there, the shoe or the furrower, whatever you'd like to call it. And the plants plant in the ground. We have some videos of our older transplanter doing this, and it's quite cool to see and watch. So you can see down there, kind of. That's our other one. Those are the more adjustable things on this transplanter itself. More of the basic adjustments, I should say. Now we're going to jump into a little more intricate adjustments that this planter has. Some cool, some that you really got to kind of check on and frequently update yourself on to make sure things are working properly.